Hi Louise, how are you?
Good morning. Very, very well. And how are you in beautiful Israel?
I'm good, thanks. So good to speak to you again.
Yes, it's been some time, but I think we're going to try and keep these spots a lot more regular, aren't we? So that we've got that continuity as much as we can, because life just
Absolutely.
gets in the way, doesn't it?
Because as you were saying, people are enjoying them and finding it them beneficial. So let's jump right in today.
Yeah.
What happens if you notice that you keep dreaming about your ex?
Mm, very interesting
And it
question.
doesn't necessarily mean what you think, right? What comes up for you? Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, so it hasn't actually, and I'm fascinated by dreams. I don't dream very much, or I don't remember them, and I know very little about them. So it is a fascinating topic because I know there is a lot to learn, and some people really specialize in dreams. You can have actually dream coaches. That's quite amazing.
Oh, I would love if somebody wanted to ever talk to us about dreams. Wouldn't you like that to join our conversation?
Absolutely. But what I have learned and what I do know, and perhaps something to think about what's going on, is whatever's subconsciously on our mind before we go off to sleep at night does sit there without a doubt. I totally understand, which is why, we have gratitude at the end of the day so that we go to sleep with a high vibration, because those thoughts do mull over in your mind even when you're sleeping for the rest of the night. So if we go to this question of unresolved stuff that's gone on with a partner in the past, I think it can be, well, why that person keeps coming up is because of unresolved business. Perhaps, perhaps there wasn't any closure there. Perhaps there wasn't any understanding. Perhaps the mind is a little bit confused and didn't work out why this had happened. And so I think a lot of the time these dreams can come and feel so real when you wake up in the morning is because there hasn't perhaps been that closure there. And another thing that comes to mind for me is maybe it's not even about the person. It could be a quality that you are seeking in life, or something that you were really attracted to about that person. Maybe they were very grounded, or they were a very kind person, for example, and you're lacking that in your life. And so it doesn't necessarily mean it's about the person, but much more about perhaps the quality that you are missing or seeking or wanting more of in your life. So as I say, Bev, it's fascinating, and I'm really open. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
It really is. And I think you've said it so beautifully. For sure, there could be unresolved issues that we haven't worked through with that person. And I love that other aspect you brought to it, that there could be a quality in that person that you really loved, that you would like to bring more of into your life. So it's all about the person. The other thing is that the breakup could be a breakup from self, which kind of continues your thought that there's a part of you that you're not, and I have to think of the word in English, that you're not complete with about yourself.
Mhm.
It's hard to recognize. And so there's a breakup from a part of self that
Yeah.
you don't really like and don't really want to integrate. So it can be a lot about you. I think probably all the dreams are about us, but it's not only the obvious that you haven't resolved it. It could also be that there's a bigger problem. You might be fearful of going into a new relationship.
Yeah. Oh, I love the way you've put that, Bev. And as always, we always go back to self. And that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Really? Absolute, from that deep inner part of us, perfect sense. And it is any breakup is a massive trauma. And we do put that energy there. And the more energy that we put into that breakup, the more energy actually perhaps you're feeling in the heart area, you know, the more broken hearted, which is where that term comes from. And so there's a lot of, as you said, the word, you know, not feeling complete on the inside, because there has been that trauma there. So yeah, it's very, very interesting why these things keep coming up, because consciously you may think, well, I don't even want to be with that person, and I'm actually with a new person. I've got nothing to do with my ex when I was 19 years old, and I'm now 45 and being happily married. Thank you very much. Why does my ex keep coming to mind? And it can leave people very perturbed, can't it? That they think, well, what's going on here? Is my marriage not going well? But I believe it's really got nothing to do with that at all, but much more to do with how we see ourselves and energy inside of us.
And I think it's an opportunity, in essence, to just stop. And pause, and in your day, possibly spend time there and notice what's coming up for you, and allow it, and explore it, and be curious about it. Like, why did this come up today? What does it mean possibly for other relationships? Do I still want to go back to him? Is it unresolved? And how can I resolve it? Sometimes, excuse me, we can't have the last word in a relationship. I know it's happened to me in more superficial relationships that I've had, that I've been given like a Dear John note, even from a client, let's say, that there's been no opportunity to say, can you share more? Tell me more what's happened, that I can take on my part, but then I know that the other person also has their part in it. It's not just all about me. So I would say give pause during your day to see what comes up for you.
Yeah, very good idea, Bev. Very, very good idea. And I think all of us, you know, need to take that time really to get that understanding, because often we can't have, as you say, that conversation. And if there isn't any closure, or you are confused as to, you know, why that person didn't understand your aspect of things, and it is coming from that place of acceptance that sometimes we just will never know. You know, we will never know those persons' reasons, and people do act, you know, what we may think in very strange ways, or, you know, ways that we don't agree with. And it can be hard coming from that place of acceptance. But if we sit in that space when we are alone and notice those feelings, just observe them. You know, you're much greater than your thoughts. You're much greater than your emotions. They're just an experience. And what can you take experience? You know, what is and it's so much about awareness, isn't it, Bav? It's getting that awareness so that we can come to that place of peace. Okay, this happened. That's okay. That's part of my experience in life, and this is what I choose to take from that experience.
Exactly. And to notice, let's say there was this breakup where you didn't have the opportunity to say the last word, to notice how you break up in relationships. Even, as I say, if it's not an intimate relationship, just how would you like to be? How would you have liked the person to approach you? And can you approach the person in that way? That's what I found in my own experience when somebody's broken up, as I say, not necessarily a deep relationship, in a way that's just been a one-liner. No, I don't want to continue anymore. Whatever, to say, how would I have liked to have done that? You know.
Yeah, really good point, Bev. Really, really good point. And it can be very painful for people, especially if they are codependent, especially if they have a trauma attachment. So we feel we create these attachments to people that are unhealthy attachments, because we're not whole and grounded ourselves, and we're seeking something else from that other person. And that can often bring up these feelings, you know. And even if you know the relationship isn't a healthy one and isn't a good one, it's sometimes very difficult for that person to understand, why don't I want to be alone? Why don't I want to be with that person? But they've treated me so badly, but I still love that person and want to be with them. And that, you know, that state of, you know, not understanding why. And a lot of it comes down to, you know, when we go back to childhood, that you do form these attachments to other people because you don't have that belief in yourself. And so it's coming away and learning to detach from, you know, these things and these people in our physical world, so that we create the feelings that we want in our mind. I'm getting a bit deep here, but I just wanted to
right. But that's very beautiful. And I think as an ending, I'd like to reconnect to what you say, that we can understand in our heads very often this is not a healthy relationship, but in our hearts we can't. There's a detachment, and there's very often, like you said, we need to detach, but we need to reattach, because the trauma comes in the detachment. The reattachment, especially to ourselves, is where healing will be. So thank you so much, Louise, for this another great conversation and so insightful.
Well, thank you, Beth. I'm really, really enjoying these, and we love any feedback, any comments at all. We really, really welcome, you know, we really, really welcome your views and your feedback. And Bev and I will be back again next week, same time. So please do join us. And as I say, if you've got any questions at all about your relationships with others or yourself, please post. Thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.